Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 65 of Swamp Creatures. The Swamp Church is now in session.
Amen. Amen. Mitch, I have to say, it's been a little while since I've been on the show. That new lead-in countdown music, it's so soothing. I just have to say thank you very much for that.
There's
And
like
good
two
evening.
that there's like two that I've been going between the last few weeks, and that this one just seemed so appropriate for tonight, given
Yeah,
some
it
of the
was
topics.
yeah, it
So
was quite heavenly. It was quite heavenly.
It
yeah, it's
sounded
quite.
it sounded very Twilight Zonus, and what you want with the swamp creature, it's kind of luring you in somewhere deep in Florida swamps.
Where Swamp Thing lies, that
Where the
is what
swamp,
Mitch calls his tackle.
where the swamp things are.
Yes, indeed.
Anyway, everyone, welcome to episode 65 of the Swamp Creatures. Today we are joined by my buddy Cal from Virginia here.
Yes. Thank you for joining us, Cal.
Yeah, happy to be here. I know that Mitch has had this show for a while, and happy to be a part of it and be part of the conversation.
Yeah, glad to have you on, man. Real quickly, just in case people aren't familiar with you or in some of your work that you've done, like you and I kind of go back with Agorist Ball and all that, but a lot of people probably aren't familiar with you and your work. Why not just give people a little bit of a background?
Agorist Ball, is that still around?
It's still there, but I haven't posted there in like forever.
Right, but at least you beat out Anarchy Ball, right?
I did. I still own my page.
Last ball standing. Do you guys know how Anarchy Ball got rid of? I think the original owner, the first guy, got tricked in a phishing scam, I believe. And then one of those things where you click the link and you accidentally transfer ownership, and all of a sudden they started posting rock and roll and advertisements, and just got scammed out of your own page. So
You got hit by the Nigerian princess or something
right,
like that?
yeah, promised bitcoins and all the worldly riches.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so my background, I did a stint in the military, got out, went to Richmond, was big into objectivism then, and started a group called Liberate RVA with my friends, and did a lot of man on the street videos, interaction talks. I have hundreds and hundreds of videos online if YouTube hasn't knocked out a great many of them already. And from there, after doing that for a couple of years, started a festival out here in Virginia called Anarchy, and that's in the first weekend of August of every year. And it's where we'll just kind of have a moment, have a break from our busy lives, hectic, and get together and shoot guns and camp in the woods and do fireside chats. And took a pivot and headed towards working on getting ready to build a family. Got a daughter on the way, July 4th. And I'm excited by her. Her name's Scarlett Molinet, and one out of many future freedom fighters to come in this age that desperately needs dragon slayers with all the nonsense that's going on with the markets, with Target, with North Face, with Los Angeles Dodgers. It's ridiculous out there. It's just a lot of gross misconduct of human behavior that they're now targeting kids, and it's good to see people pushing back. And I just did that this past Friday. I had time off from work, and I decided to spend my free time. Had a message from a friend who says, "Cal, you got to see what they're doing at Target. They're targeting children, but there's a transgender nonsense identity, and you should expose them all." I said, "Well, I'm off today, so let me go check out my local Target." And and behold, right there, I thought I would have to go through aisles and find this stuff, but it's the very first thing you see when you go into Target. It's right there in the corner. You cannot miss it. You know how in your face they want to tell you that we want to be left alone, but not if you dress in that manner, right? Nobody dresses like that and wants to be left alone. And there's all kinds of stuff there targeting kids, coloring books with a lot of kissing and same-sex types of sexuality going on in there, and little baby clothes promoting that the idea that someone as young as this could be trans. It's very sickening, and it's not about leaving them wanting to be left alone. They're coming after kids because they can't reproduce, so they have to find ways to do so, and that's by targeting your children. That's what I've been up to since.
Well,
damn, you just you pretty much brought up a lot of the stuff that we are going to be diving in here tonight, because man, that's that was pretty much what I thought the crux of the show would be here. That and also DeSantis's failed announcement.
well,
Yeah.
well, yeah, it was definitely a little bit of a boondoggle with the announcement. But first, before we dive into all the other stuff, I'm curious, Cal. So when you're doing, just to wind it back a little bit, so you said you have like hundreds of videos doing the man on the street type of thing. So like what like sort of things did you do when you're doing the man on the street? Like, did you ask people certain questions? Did you kind of mess with people, or like what exactly were you doing?
Yeah, I guess they're not really messing with people. They're not videos where I'm like yelling at them or anything like that. They really are just asking questions. The first couple of years is just asking questions about morality, philosophy, the state of things, and trying to find that sometimes their advocation for the government is goes against what you actually believe in. And I find once you have a good foundation of things that we can agree to, we can talk about anything else. And so I found that to be a good method, defining terms and then progressing from there. And from there, I've met a great many of friends with my man on the street, politicizing the good word of libertarianism, and many friends I'm still with today, and started in 2012. From there, progressed from going to DC and going to protests and just asking people what are they doing out here. Gun protests, for example, and like you have a video of a guy holding up a sign with he's against AR-15. So it's like, well, what does the AR stand for? And he's like, assault rifle. And so just a lot of fun interactions, going to feminist rallies, anything that's local. You know, I live here in Richmond and not that far from DC, so there's a lot of fun conversations and talks and protests to crash and have those recorded and put it online.
Well, which out of all these protests and events and things that you kind of crashed, like which is your favorite? Like what video and what like particular thing did you do that was your favorite thing that you did?
Right, I do have one where I chased down Bernie Sanders.
Okay.
Out of his own.
Right.
There was also an incident here where Bloomberg came down to Virginia when he was running for presidency, right? Doing his talk, doing his scheme.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the fact that there was a bar here, a venue that was well receiving of him, right? As if like this is the Virginia welcome for Bloomberg. And so my friends and I thought that was not appropriate. We wanted to give him a good Virginia welcome, and they were giving out free beer tickets before he went on stage.
Oh yeah, nice.
So the great thing about the beer tickets, you have one, you go back out, you drink it, you go back, you keep going around and around until you've had enough and you're ready. And then you don't see him go on stage because he's small. So
he's a tiny little guy.
Tiny guy, he really is. And they have like the little step there for him to kind of step up on the podium. And then no more than maybe 5 minutes into it, and I've had enough beers. My friends, we have this scheme where my friend Vincent yells out that he's a racist for trying to take away guns from minorities, and security comes and haul him out. But he's action. So now security's outside with Vincent, and then me and my wrestler friends we're still in here, and then we keep going. And then we keep shouting tirades at him, and we crashed the whole thing. We were in a couple of newspapers and some videos, and we went outside and we joined an anti-Bloomberg pro-gun protest. It was a really great day. So I mean, not a particular video I did, but one of the funniest.
One of the things that you did that you enjoyed the most of. Yeah. So you had wrestler friends with you there, being your bodyguards.
I do have wrestler friends. Greg Papanopoulos, but I haven't seen him in a bit. But he goes by Vincent. Trying to think who else. Yeah, I got good friends. I mean, all of us are armed too, and that's a good thing to be in this day of age with.
Absolutely.
2020, 2021. You see all the Black Lives Matters have shown you that the police are going to be there later, or not at all, or tell you to deal with it. And that was a big eye opener for a lot of my friends at my church, for example, who previously were like, well, why get guns? The cops were just there for you, or just a phone call away. And then they see when they're not, where they don't want to respond, where they don't want to go, when it's too much for them. and you are
how
allowed
much they really have responsibility to take care of you, which is zero.
right. No obligation, no legal liability, zip, nada, nothing. So yeah, it's been fun and great being out there. And now that COVID's over and things are kind of a little bit sanity out here, and I look forward to going back in the streets and having more interviews.
Very nice, very nice.
Well, shit, we'll definitely have to look forward to those because I didn't even know that you chased down Bernie Sanders, but that I'm gonna have to watch that myself.
Yeah, sitting down, it was a lot of fun.
You're the reason he was running through that train station.
Oh yeah, right. There's a protest I was at where it was an anti-rape protest. I was like, dude, who's out here for rape? Who's pro-rape? And this guy, I said, unless their name's Bernie Sanders, and this guy was telling me, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, I could tell immediately when he questioned that he was a Bernie Sanders guy. I said, yeah, dude, many years ago, he wrote a very rapey article with his own hands, with his own paper, and he published it. So what he was like, yeah, you could Google it. Google Bernie Sanders rape story, and he took out his phone right there in front of the camera, and he's reading it out, and it's like I'm helping find where the article is, and we're reading it line by line. And Bernie Sanders talks about a woman fantasizes about being held down, by 2-3 men at the same time against her will, and he looks at me like mouth drop, flabbergasted, like this is hero, and this is what he was about, or maybe still is, right?
Didn't he do? I remember hearing about this. Didn't he write all this while he was at that commune? Or something.
One that he got kicked out because he was the least productive worker.
Because he was super lazy. He was writing about his rape fantasies instead of working on the farm.
The guy went to USSR for his honeymoon.
Well, he heard they had good bread lines.
Right.
People are lining up for food. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I know. They had some corn,
if even. But either way, it's amazing that you could even break through to someone showing that in front of them, because at least within my own experiences, it doesn't matter what you show people. It's kind of that Yuri Bezmenov thing of they just go back to their programming. So hopefully hopefully that woke him up.
Well, you could see a lot of that happening. Like you said, like COVID opened a lot of people's eyes, but then again, like with the guns and everything, it's like, oh, the cops are not going to be here to help you. They're here to lock you in and control you. But you see a lot of those people that saw that, took that in, and they haven't changed their mind one way or the other. They're still back into the same back to blue mentality that they were beforehand. Even though they saw what the police will do to them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like triage. There's people who you can better reach out to than others.
Of course.
Ones that you just don't want to waste your time with, but I still want to poke around because I think that's great content on camera.
No, absolutely.
And that might be something that someone else might better see and question their own stances and positions. So sometimes it's not about seeing if I can convince them or what people should be doing if they record these conversations. It should be going through the motion of the conversation, and maybe someone else could have a better benefit from that. But these people do a good job, I guess, falling flat on their own arguments just by letting them talk. Asking them questions about what it is that they believe in, and just if you keep asking long enough, you find that it goes all over the place. They trip on themselves. It's something that I guess most people don't really have a good grasp of what it is that they're out there promoting. I've been to protests where the people are not allowed to speak to me, where they're told, I guess, by whoever's running those groups, like especially like for 5 for 15, like don't talk to anyone. It's like I'm not allowed to talk. It's like they just want the bodies there to show like there's a big support, but they're not really allowed to know the arguments or why really.
They're paid protesters.
Right.
Yeah. What's funny is I've seen similar things with socialist college kids basically being used by unions to protest for them because they know they'll protest for them for free.
Mm-hmm.
Just convince them about some socialist BS about helping the working class, and they'll basically just join you out there.
Well, they probably get the professor to come in and give them extra credit to go and join the protests. That's the best way to do it. Get 5 extra points on your test next week.
They've done a good job smearing the Pinkertons for sure. You grew up saying that they're the bad guys and everything, and really, they're the heroes. I'm all about union bashing and disrupting and getting them out of every workplace possible.
I mean,
I
I'm
mean-
totally right to work, so I'm not disagreeing there. The
We're
funny
in the
thing with
private
the
police. Yeah.
yeah, well, the funny thing with the Pinkertons, it's like I don't know if you ever heard of the Black Hand at all. It was like an Italian mafia organization from way
Mhm.
back in the day, and I think the guy's name was Joey Petrozito, who became like an icon trying to kill the Black Hand, wipe them out. But he got killed. You know who took care of the Black Hand no problem? It was the fucking Pinkertons. The towns that the Black Hand tried to do like their threatening letters and everything to extort from businesses, when they got the Pinkertons in there, they just squashed them like bugs within days.
Well, it's because the Pinkertons were just freaking legalized gangsters. They're cops being more cop than they actually are. Since they're private, they have to cover and they can just fuck anyone up that they wanted to, kill anyone that they wanted to. They had carte blanche, basically.
Are you talking about the Pinkertons? I don't know about that. I think that's the propaganda stuff that you're talking about.
No, but that's good. I'm all for it if that's what they were doing.
I mean, you have the Homestead Strike, for example, and
Mhm.
they frame it that they came out there to cause trouble and started this the initiation of violence, and it was just really them trying to go up a barrage on a river, and they got dynamite thrown at them. The people who took over the mining operation of this private property, the town was split in half. There, half of them wanted to go to work, didn't care about the union. They want to go make a living and bring back and help their family. The other half, right, the ones who are in charge of the unions who get money from this, wouldn't have it, and so they would take over and they would prevent people from going to work, and they would shift the frame otherwise to make it seem like this is something that affected everyone, and this was everyone's interest, and that the Pinkertons were there to enforce it when they're trespassing. They're on private property. They're there to defend that property, as any higher would be a company do if they were paid to do such a work. So it's definitely a very negative viewpoint, which doesn't have much help because the government wanted that. The government wanted to frame them and set them up and make them look bad. This is an interesting argument, I guess, since we're talking about anarchy, because everybody always talks about, without government, warlords would take over. But I like to remind them, I had a conversation recently about, there was at one point in this country where there was a private organization that had more armed men than the United States military, and that was the Pinkertons. And they didn't take over cities, counties, states, or anything like that, right? So it's a real historical example of a private company having even more than the United States military, armed personnel, and nothing crazy like that ever happened. The government wanted to eventually, after they hire their services and study them and was able to understand the business plan, trade secrets, and whatnot, you got rid of them, passed legislation to push them out of the way to get ready to form the creation of the FBI. So that's the origins of the FBI. That's where they come from, and that's why the Pinkertons get a bad rap in the public school books and everything, because that's part of the lie. That's part of the smear of private companies.
I don't know what this says about me, because even with all that propaganda and the knowledge that they're basically the thought that they're just the private thugs of certain people, I'm still in favor of private police forces and think the Pinkertons should still be around.
Yeah,
I don't know what that says about me.
Right? Yeah, private thugs are an important thing to have. You don't want
hired goons. Come on,
right? Yeah,
Hired goons.
Yeah, you need to be able to have those in a private society.
Yeah. Well, you bring up the whole union aspect of that too. And honestly, when you say about like the warlords, I think, unions have kind of proven themselves to be just a somewhat more civilized version of warlords trying to control people's lives.
Yeah, there's a lot of money to be made. This is why the mafia seek them out. There's money there, and it's a part of that money they want to be a part of. Movies are made about that.
Yeah. Get someone in there, get up to the top, influence the right people. I mean, you can skim some money off the top very easily and make yourself rich.
Right. Union dues are their form of taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the pot where everyone's life savings are in for retirement, and it's a lot of ways to go around and make money from that.
Yeah, I mean, unions, if they weren't government mandated in many ways, and they would be all right. But the fact that they're so intertwined with the government now, I would think that they need to go fuck off. They,
They're so intertwined, and they're also in like the weirdest of like they're fucking Kroger has a bag boys union.
Mhm.
Like, how the hell does that happen? Like, what are they asking for?
Mhm.
Oh, that's great. You have like a king union bag boy at the very top of the chain.
Yeah.
Teachers unions are the worst. Government unions are the worst. They hold you at hostage while you're paying them for a service that they're just not going to provide you, and you can't go anywhere else.
Was it a few years ago the Supreme Court ruled that, like, say if you were a teacher, you didn't have to join the teachers union if you didn't want to, basically, or you weren't forced to pay dues to a union if you didn't want to. So that's a good move in the right direction, I would say, to start breaking up the mandatory aspect of these unions in a lot of different fields.
Yeah, the Pinkertons just need to do a comeback. You know, that everyone has a comeback story, and they need theirs, and we need them more than ever. And there's a lot of ball busting that needs to be done, not at the unions, but also at Target, at North Face. Now, did you guys see their cringe cross-dressing video in the woods?
Yes, the thing there was something that was dressed very brightly and had a mustache, and it was
Real quickly, just from what I've heard, I've not seen this ad, but already it
Mhm.
sounds worse than the Amazon ad of the girl with the mustache.
Yeah, I mean, can you play videos here? Do you guys watch stuff? I don't know what.
Yeah, we do. Here, 1 second. What was the company again?
North Face.
North Face.
Yeah, type in North Face on Twitter. It'd be like the first thing you see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is recent.
Yeah, it just came out like a day
or so ago.
Yeah, right behind the heels. It's like, well, we hate money too. We hate our customers. That's right on the coattails of Bud Light and Target.
It's interesting that it's all happening one right after another. It's like I get why they're doing it because it's all part of the whole ESG model, and it's both. Then again, actually, no, it all makes sense because it's June. It's freaking.
It's not even June yet.
I know, but it's like Christmas. They start doing Christmas in freaking September now, so they can do Pride Month at the end of May. I guess they can start pushing down your throat and get you ready for what's about to come.
A lot of windows there for sure. Yes.
I don't even know what May is supposed to be anymore, man. 3 different ethnicities were claiming this month.
Isn't it Pacific Islander month?
I also heard it was Jewish Heritage Month.
That's every month.
And then Biden just made a trans day, right?
He just made one, like another one?
I can't keep up with all these days, man.
All right, well, Mitch, prepare yourself. Hopefully this is the one that we're talking about.
Does this look right?
This is it. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, this is it.
Nature lets you be who you are.
Even gay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are cordially invited to the Summer of Pride with my friends at the North Face. We're traveling all the gay across America, and everyone's invited. That means you.
Me.
And you.
Hello.
And you.
Wow.
Not you, though. You're too cute.
This is fucking terrible.
This isn't the one I saw earlier.
This isn't the one you saw?
Okay,
this is a new one.
Come.
This is a
Put
different
on
one.
your boots and come out.
Yes.
Side with us.
This is just cringe.
See you there, besties.
That was infinitely better than the last one.
Now I got to see if there's another one on here.
There's
there
another
is.
one. Yeah,
there's definitely another one.
Hang on, let me
it's got a stash and everything. It's
you can't miss it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Okay, I think I just saw an image from it.
Yeah. You're going to have to find that video, Mitch.
I got to find the...
I think
see lots of...
the last time I saw a troon out in the woods was the Mudabi guy and he hated it. He's running away from everything. It doesn't seem like a place where they would hang out or want to be a part of. I don't see how North Face thought like, yes, this is a place that's inviting and opening. Like, what part of the world do you see the woods and say like that's not inviting and opening to anyone?
Yeah, and you would think it would remind them of all their Boy Scout leaders back in the day. Yes, here you are.
I don't even.
No, play it. We're
Yeah.
here. You
Yeah.
must experience it.
Hi, it's me, Patagonia, a real-life homosexual. And today I'm here with the North Face. We are here to invite you to come out in nature with us. Wow, this is nice. We like to call this little tour the Summer of Pride. This tour has everything. Hiking, community, art, lesbians making art. Last year, we gay sashayed across the nation and celebrated Pride across the nation with hundreds of you across the nation. This year, we're back again with 2 new stops. Atlanta, GA. Why? Because you're there. In Salt Lake City, we're coming for you.
Patty, can we go?
Of course! This year, all these fabulous speakers will be coming from inside this TV to a nature near you. So come outside and celebrate the beautiful LGHGTV community.
This feels like it should be a parody.
This
Yeah,
is great.
I was just gonna say that if that was like a bit on Chappelle's show or Key and Peele or something like that, you wouldn't blink twice about it being a bit. But no, it is 100% accurate, or accurate, but 100% fucking actual here in reality. It's kind of fucking ridiculous.
What's weird is it feels like they're just diving like straight into the deep end.
Yeah. Who wears 4-inch stiletto shoes in the woods, right? If this thing about trying to be like women and trying to go all the way, is like women don't do that in the woods. Women also, if they have a little hair, they shave the stash. If you're gonna go and one identity, commit. Shave the stash.
Well, that's what I always laugh about the I can't play the Amazon commercial because it has a Queen song in it.
Yeah.
But
will they come after you?
I don't know. They might. I don't want to risk it. I really don't.
He is on Freddie Mercury's radar.
I really do not want them to come after me. You know who they are.
Yeah,
YouTube,
no,
Google,
sure, for sure.
But
well, no,
like that ad though. It's like, dude, if she just went into school like at the end of the ad, she'd fucking get bullied. Like, this is some high school kid that you're selling this message to, and it's like, nah, man, that kids are fucking savage. Because girls in high school are famous for being supportive of one another.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I think is funny is obviously a lot of this is pushback for all like the anti drag queen story hour, anti drag queen child sex dances that they do. But it's just funny how they went from the trannies and then now they're going to the drag queens to make it even more confusing. So it wasn't confusing enough to be like, all right, this is a girl who thinks she's a boy, or this is a boy who thinks she's a girl, but they're really boys and girls. Now this is just a gay man who dresses as a woman who gets off on it and is fancy, but it's not really trans. It's not the same thing. But yeah, it's all intended to confuse as many people as possible, obviously. And
I have a suggestion for another month to overlap June. It should be a Black Lives Matter month, right?
Okay.
And the way that they're destroying stores all across the Western Coast and Targets and Walmarts are ransacked. We should have a Black Lives Matter month in June at the same time as Pride Month, because now you have 2 untouchable classes, right, clashing with one another. Right. If it was a white guy that went in there, for example, and grabbed this articles of clothing and ran, he'd be prosecuted, sent to like 18 years in a slammer, like some of these January 6 people. But if it was a Black Lives Matters guy, if it was one of the protected classes that just newly been created, get a slap in the wrist, charges dropped. So I think maybe a strategy could be you can hire some of them to go in there and do their thing. And, that's a great way to kind of push back or hit back, right? But if Mitch was able to, Mitch ran in there and tried to do the same thing, he'd be arrested. We wouldn't hear from him for years.
No.
Have a Black Lives Matter guy go in there, do the same thing. You have the ends have been achieved. With little costs.
I mean, that could work out, indeed. So, but we're also going to have to orchestrate, or someone's going to have to orchestrate a police brutality incident to really kick it off, so that you can send people in to the targets to take out all of the Pride Month baby onesies with the tuck technology.
Right. Right.
But actually, it's funny because black people don't like all that kind of stuff, so they'll probably leave that shit alone, and they'll just take everything else around it.
They leave that.
Area.
Yes, no, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it might backfire, but it's worth putting it or trying to put it into action.
Well, at least the more that occurs, the more they realize it's not a good place to stay around for business. They'll pack up like the Walmarts have. People will have to travel an extra 20 miles to rob, and it's something worth looking into.
Mitch, you need to get on that.
I will definitely be getting on that. But since we're already kind of on this topic, Duke, you had a story about the LA Dodgers. And
yes.
let's get right into it, man, because that is a whole nother thing that.
Oh, we're talking about the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence.
Yes, the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence.
All right,
wow,
so
I typed this into DuckDuckGo, and that comes up way too quick.
Well, there's a reason why people are using DuckDuckGo to look at that kind of stuff.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, go ahead and pull it up so we can discuss.
It's like an NSA agent watching this right now. Like, what the fuck is it looking
yeah,
up,
it's
man?
all good. But no, so the idea is like this group, the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, is like some kind of drag performance thing out in LA. They were invited to a Dodgers Pride night, then disinvited, and then reinvited because they got all pissy about it. And they are essentially an anti-Catholic group because of some of the things that they do. I argue that the whole idea of Pride Night is anti-Christian to begin with on its face, but I digress. Yeah, so Mitch, can you please?
I found this image. This seems to be, we've done way worse things on this show, so honestly, I'm not really that concerned about this.
Yes. So this is the group that was invited to the LA Dodgers to take. This is only part of it. One of the things I saw was they had Jesus, a guy up as Jesus, crucified, and they were stripper dancing all over him in drag. So it's just interesting that they would do this. I mean, a lot of Hispanics, a lot of Mexicans like the Dodgers and go to Dodgers games. It's just, I find it odd that they would invite these type of people. And now that they re-invited them, make them a key part of their Pride Night.
Right. They're playing into a fetish. This is a fetish. This is the humiliation, BDSM. This is not like my life or a lifestyle or who I am. This is an outward enjoyment of forcing people to participate in their fetish wear, forcing you to watch that. Voyeurism, exhibitionism. Yeah, it's disgusting. I think recently they just put out that they want to have a Christian theme night. The same people, Los Angeles, the Dodgers, right? They just made out an announcement, I think earlier today, that they want to have a Christian theme night. Come out and celebrate God. Come out and celebrate Christ Jesus, and kind of they're trying to play both sides.
Yeah,
that way, right?
It's like we're open to everyone, where we can totally denigrate the Catholic faith over here this night and be, just put up debauchery all over the place and force it down your throat, and then we can put Jesus up front and be humble and totally moral about it. It's it just shows you the disgustingness.
You
of,
won't see this
corporate
group
America.
do anything about Muhammad.
No.
They won't denigrate, do anything that's anti-Muslim. It is a strictly anti-Catholic group. It's not an
Mhm.
anti-religious group. When they sit on their tall fedora hats and thump themselves at you, saying they're better than you, and this is has nothing to do with that because they never target anything else, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's a far fall from where we should be at, but at the same time, it's California, city of a place where you need an app to make sure you don't step on shit. It's a literal third world city, and it's not some place that I ever want to visit or spend much time in if I don't have to. Um, the bar is set pretty low for California for anything that comes out, and that includes whatever's happening with the Los Angeles Dodgers. But the outcry against that, I have seen Bishop Barron come out on Twitter, swing away at them, which is great. It's good to see him swinging hard and pushing back against these sort of sentiments. Yeah, I don't know anything else to say with Los Angeles Dodgers. I guess these days, I think most watching sports for so long and now like being part of it or playing it, I think it's kind of gay too. It's it's like one of those guys that sits down and watches stream videos of other people playing video games, and that's all you do, and you just watch people. And at that point, that's kind of goes too far instead of just being active yourself. But yeah, it's probably almost being as gay as drinking Bud Light these days. I had to shame somebody at my local grocery store. You just look at them and you shake your head. Their eyes like look at you and they avert. It's maybe trying to tell me that it's not for me. It's for my friend.
Oh, no, it's for my wife, who's also a guy.
Right. But I think finally there's good bite to this conservative movement towards the phrase "go woke, get broke," and there's been a lot of that in the past couple of years, but nothing as hard hitting where you're seeing now every day how much of money these companies are losing. Maybe that's why Los Angeles Dodgers just did a Christian theme night. They're seeing the signs, they see where things are headed. Right, but the thing is, they're caught in a crossroads because if they go all anti-trans, then they're pitched against the other team, right? The people who work there are not going to be hired by other companies. Say you were part of this company that's very anti-trans, like why should we hire you? It's a very career-killing move for some of these woke people and that kind of woke world they live in. Same thing with Target. Target's caught in the middle of a place. What are we going to do? Maybe we put it in the back. If we get rid of all of it, they're going to think we hate the gays. And then anyone who worked higher up won't find work among related similar companies who are part of the woke confection. I think like the VP of the marketing of Bud Light, at least she can say that she was trying to bring diversity and inclusion. She'll get hired somewhere else easily. But I think the reason why Bud Light isn't putting out a real apology, right? All they've been issuing out is like, my bad, our beer's for everyone, even your dog. They're not apologizing for it. They're afraid to. They don't want to be eviscerated by the other side as well. And then when these CEOs
lose those
leave,
ESG points.
right? Yeah, right. When they leave and find another company, that trail is attached to them. So it's something that they set up, and it's something that I revel in. It's something you see a lot. I've seen a lot of this in those kind of culture groups where they self-cannibalize each other. And it started with white privilege. And then when you're in a group with a lot of people and you're like one of the few whites, you just get cannibalized by one of your own. It's something that I'm enjoying even with J.K. Rowling. She helped create that audience with her feminism. She helped forge that, and now she's fighting back. She doesn't really have to. I love the way how she fights back. It makes me a J.K. Rowling fan, not a Harry Potter fan, but a J.K. Rowling fan. Maybe I should read the books. But yeah, they're in a weird place where they're cannibalizing each other. Then in a way, if it wasn't Christian, if I was a a cringe atheist, I would be like, let them have their abortions, let them have their self-mutilation, and encourage, be on the side of the 41% of the trans, support that group. But I don't think that's an end all. That still encourages people who are trying to get into it, and not a way for them to get out of it. They find that 4/5 of trans people, youth who are into this stuff, get out of it when they become an adult. But it's not going to help when you have all this kind of trans affirming propaganda in your face, and hiding away all the voices of people who are detransitioning, or hiding all the stuff you have to go through to try to be another sex, where they rip off pieces of meat, Hellraiser style, from your legs, from your arms. You have no more muscles, so you can have this weird snuffleupagus thing, just hanging, dangling from above, below your belly button. It's a very grotesque kind of Satan-like world, and I think for them to prepare this for us, to make it palatable, they have to make it fun. They have to make it, as you're seeing right now, you have Satanist designers creating this stuff here for Target. It's not going to be in your face the way they do it, right? It's destruction of culture that the Catholic Christian world built by 1,000 paper cuts to the culture. And that's where we're living. That's what we're seeing. That's what we're experiencing.
So I got to ask, are you reminded of the fall of Rome at all? Because I don't know if you're familiar with Douglas Murray. He goes into a lot of these different things, and how there are parallels between us, Rome, and the fall of Greece as well.
A lot of debauchery, a lot of women forgetting about the role of motherhood, a lot of debasement of currency, a lot of tolerance. And a lot of that tolerance will breed backstabbing and conniving mischief and corruption against you from the people you tolerate. And that's what happened in Rome. That's what we're experiencing now. But at least we have fidget spinners and iPhones to experience it through.
Hey, we can record everything.
Right. I was there.
Fucking, there's a meme somewhere out there. Some dude taking a selfie as Rome is like burning in the background.
Right. Yeah.
YOLO.
Hashtag. I was there.
No,
yeah, it's a parallel. It's why they don't teach history well in schools. You'll find patterns. You should be studying history to find patterns, and to better get ahead and not repeat them. But that's something that they don't do well at government schools either. So, and they do it for a reason, for a purpose. And there's a lot of cool and interesting conspiracies with that, especially against the anti-Catholicism that's in this country. For example, one would be, we always hear about the great the Spanish Armada, and they came out and they were going to wreck the Protestant country and restore Catholicism and got back there. And what ended up happening was tidal waves and clashes and storms and destroy them, right? And that's it. That's all we hear. But you never read about in your history books that actually the British government, the kingdom, sent out their own armada, the English Armada, like the following year or two. And then that also got destroyed by winds and storms. But it's always about bashing and highlighting Catholic failures, and then putting up in the spotlight Protestant ones. And this is a Protestant majority form country, and that's the kind of information you're going to have in your history books as well. And that's why there's a lot of ferments of Catholic hate, Catholic propaganda, and it ties into the Cristero Wars in Mexico, right? Who was on the side of the Catholics there? They have the church. You have the Knights of Columbus. Who was on the other side? The United States federal government, the KKK. It's a story as old as time. It's not a new thing. You just find it everywhere.
Yeah. No, so I guess I'll just ask then, how has Catholicism influenced you? Because I hate the term non-denominational. I really fucking do, because non-denoms always end up just being Baptists when you really get down to it. But at the end of the day, yeah, for real. But Southern Baptists. But I often find myself defaulting to Catholicism just because it's what I was raised on. There's something about going back to something I'm familiar with. But I'm curious to hear, like, what exactly was your journey, kind of coming to a this perspective?
Well, you study libertarianism long enough, and where everything, the origins, right? It's not like we're born with this knowledge, not like dwarfs springing out of the earth. Um, like case law, it has a history. It goes back to common law, to English law. You find even our sciences are built off of one another. You find like the Wright brothers, they built a plane, but they only saw like one small piece of that. It wasn't like they built the whole idea from scratch. People were been racing to build that from Europe all over the world. But so you find that you study libertarianism, you study history, you study the principles that we have, and all that has been based and built upon the studies and works of their predecessors. And if you keep going, you'll find that the predecessor and the people who started that is the Catholic Church, the church that Christ started over 2,000 years ago. And every time you go through any subject and you just keep going, you'll find the church again. You'll find miracles. You'll find histories of battles in the world and civilizations come and go, Greek, Roman, even before that, Egyptians. And now, people are just studying them, in the dust and some outdoor wilderness, collecting. Yes, they lived here once, and they got conquered, and they got conquered. And that's the story of every peoples on this planet except for one, and that's the Catholics. And that's the one that the church that Christ started. That's the longest living institution still going today that is at the Vatican right now, longer than anything you can imagine or think of. And that's a miracle in itself. That's one miracle out of many others. And if you're a lover of history, you find out how close Christendom became crushed by their enemies. The Battle of Vienna and in England with King Alfred finally stopping the Vikings and Christianizing his opponents and then saving all of England. And you'll find the Battle of Tours with the Hammer, Charles the Hammer, stopping the onslaught of Muslim hordes going into France. You'll find like there's been a lot of moments where it could all just been just like every other civilization, and that would have been that. And except out of all of them, only one. And it's one that led to the inspiration to lead the charge. No other religion, under no other groups of people, was ever in a thought, an idea to like abolish slavery, except under a Christian one. And there was William Wilberforce in England, and he spent all his life advocating, going up to politics, as he was a politician, he was part of the aristocracy, and saying, "Here's my motion: abolish slavery." And they were like, "Nope." Every year, abolish slavery. Nope. He saw them as brothers and sisters. We're not to enslave one another. Throughout the rest of his life, that was his main cause. And then one day, he did the same thing, and old and frail, and then they all voted. And so you're right, it is wrong. And from that moment on, because the kingdom of England, Great Britain, was so vast, right? The saying that the sun never sets on the British Empire because they are all over the world. Anything the British Empire touched, there was no more slavery. That included places like India, no more slavery, right? It was led by a Christian under Christ, Jesus Christ, and through that, this crusade to end slavery happened. Did not happen any other time in history. Would have never happened any other time in history. All the rest of the world celebrated. They still have it going on in Africa. So you find William Wilberforce, he died 3 days later. So he lived long enough to pass that, was able to finally go to heaven. He did his duty. He did his job. So you find these miracles because of Christ that you just eventually just can't deny that. And that's something that you have to keep going through yourself. That's your own path. Come back to Christ. He said, you're into Catholicism. We wouldn't have this world if it was not for the Catholic Church. It built Western civilization. It's these are the pillars of these virtues that we have that is today under attack. That's what's going on with Los Angeles Dodgers. going against God's creation of man and woman, female and male. It's an affront to everything that is godly and good. And if you find yourself siding with them or being on their side, this should give you some cause and maybe something worth looking into. If you see yourself siding with those kinds of people, with the sisters of abhorrence and degeneracy. But yeah, so I think that a long enough timeline of studying libertarianism, everything points to God, and that's something you should look further into. And if you have questions about that, happy to talk about it on the show, off the show. But I think it's the place to go, and that's where it's led me. And I've been from there. I had this had a tree fall on my house. I woke up middle of the night. I feel like Dorothy, howling mad winds. I'm walking down the hallway, and I hear a big loud thud, and several of them, and it sound like windows shattering everywhere. And I'm hearing screams, and it's at the time my girlfriend screaming, and I see branches and trees going through the roof, and water is going through, and it's raining, and she's screaming and calm her down. And I'm outside like Molder, and like, what caused this? It was a tree. That same morning, I see on the news Notre Dame is burning, and I see a vestige, a symbol of Western civilization for God being burnt. And I see France, a place that's kind of embraced that this weird ecumenicism, this whole, no one's better than anyone else. This equality thing, all religions are equal, and they're suffering because of that. They have invited a lot of Muslims and anti-Christians into their country, and there's all of these vandalisms of churches, hundreds of them. You can find maps every year, hundreds and hundreds. And this Notre Dame burning is because of them. They don't want to say it, but that's exactly who caused that. And I realized that day, I felt like that was the kick I needed, and I wanted to be on the side of God. And I turned to my girlfriend that morning, and I told her that we need to talk about God. And she looked at me, and she was looking like I was a crazy guy. I was like, "What are you talking about?" Because I'd been secretly, like my own private studies about the apologetics about Christianity for a good number of years since I started doing my man on the street videos, because I would run into Christians and we talk, and I talk, and we talk. And then so I would investigate myself, and I would read through all the arguments people had against it, and eventually came and led to that point, which I was grateful for, because it helped to talk to my girlfriend then about Catholicism. And then we found a church recommended by my friend John, who sponsored me. There's a church behind my house that's a FSSP church who does Latin rites, pre-1962, and it's beautiful. And it's a place that I've met a great many friends, and it's even a church where some of my parishioners and friends who grew up hanging out in Tom Woods' living room.
Nice.
Yeah, like Christopher Ferrara, this lawyer who co-written books with Tom Woods, goes to my church. So it's interesting how it all kind of connects when you study libertarianism and the foundations and the direction. It's inevitable where it points to and where you should be heading towards, and that's God.
Damn. Well, that's definitely a way of wrapping it all up in a bow. That's for sure.
Amen.
Amen to that. But anyway, we're starting to come up here on the ending of the hour. So, is there anything, Duke? Is there anything you want to bring up about that real quickly? Just anything, last thoughts, or?
No, he said it perfectly. I don't want to step on any of that.
I really don't either. God damn.
Nope.
Somewhere my dad is probably going to watch this episode rooting. Come on, get him to go to the Catholic faith. Come on.
Come on back home.
Well, we're coming up to, I don't know if I'm breaking up here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah,
can.
we can hear you. Oh, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay, yeah. Well, we're coming up to the last hour here. Just wanted to do a promotion that there's going to be a lot of us out in the first weekend of August. It's called Anarcon. It's a festival out in Winchester, 4th to the 6th, and it's a great camping experience. It's here in Virginia, and we get together annually. This is our 9th year, and we have a lot of fireside chats. We have guest speakers come out like Joel Salatin. It's the only range in Virginia where you can shoot guns. They got an outdoor range there. So I invite everyone who's listening, Duke, Mitch, coming out of Anarcon. It's a great time. Meet with a lot of other fellow people you don't have to preach to the choir to. We're all on the same wavelength.
Like-minded folk.
Right.
I will come out only if there's flamethrowers, like the image that I used for the thumbnail.
I'll let you shoot the flamethrower. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I'll definitely make it.
Yeah. We have a burn, and that's usually how we like to burn. So I'll pass it to you next after that.
Fuck yeah. I'm all about
it. Gotcha, man.
So is there anything else you want to plug while we're on here?
Yeah, Anarcon, go to the website, anarcon.com. All the information's there. And I invite everyone to come out there. I really appreciate being on the show, part of the Swampcast Creature Show. And I appreciate your work out there in Florida with the Mises Caucus, doing the good word and spreading the good word. A big supporter of that here in Virginia as well.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Duke?
I ain't got nothing to promote. You see me, Duke Chastain. I'm back for the time being. Everyone have a good night.
I'm not gonna lie, man. It's nice to have you back after so many weeks with Rob. I was wondering when one of the other swamp creatures was gonna show up again.
Well, you hit me up and you said, "Man, I need you." Rob bailed. I'm like, "All right, man. I'll be around. I'll be here." And we had a good time.
Right on, man. Well, anyway, as always, go check me out on Twitter at MitchConnorJLo. And go check out 1776swag.com for all the best liberty and populist and any stuff to just basically say fuck the establishment. Honestly, recently I've learned that there's still money in the Kennedy name, so go support RFK for the hell of it. It helps me. It helps my bank account. So anyway, thanks everyone. Thanks Cal for coming on.
Stay liberated.
Until next time.
Thank you.
Peace.
Stay liberated.